one of the greatest sins that ever happened in the history of the Jewish people was the sin of the Meraglim. Okay, the spies were charged to go check out Eretz Yisrael and see all the good that's there, and then report back and let us know what's going on. And they come back and they bring the fruits and they show the size of the amazing fruits of Eretz Yisrael, and they give a negative report, and their report is as follows. They say the Eretz, the land, is ochelet yoshvehahi. It's a land that devours its inhabitants. What does that mean? So Rashi explains that while they're walking through, they literally saw the entire country burying people and mourning over their relatives. So they said, we can't go into this land. Literally, it just eats people up, and everyone's just mourning and mourning and mourning and mourning. Why in the world would we want to go there and settle there and live there? Forget it. Okay, but that's what happened. That was the reality. So if that's really what happened, why are they held accountable? What was so bad about what they did? So Rashi says as follows: because it's true that that's what was happening, but Hashem made it that would happen specifically so that all the inhabitants, all the people that were living there would be so busy and so preoccupied with mourning over these people that the Jews, the Meraglim, would just like walk right in and no one would even notice them. Can you imagine walking out, you're spying in Iran, right? We don't want to be noticed. We don't want anyone to see who we are, right? Hashem literally preoccupied them so that we could walk through cleanly, get the mission done, and come back all good. Meaning, what they saw and they thought as being something negative was actually for their benefit. But they missed the boat. They didn't realize that it was for the good. And the question is why? So there are two answers that are given, but both of them are of the same nature and the same idea. The Steipler Gaon, he said as follows. He said, if anyone would have taken a step back from the story and thought about what happened, they would have realized this can't happen every day. You can't have this many people dying a day. That's impossible. So it must be, okay, yesterday there was some plague, something abnormal. This isn't the norm. It was too much. It wasn't real. It couldn't be that way. But they were so fixated, so zoned in on one specific thing. This is terrible. They weren't able to take a step back and look at the whole picture and say, this is impossible. This isn't normal. This is a bad day. This is not reflective of the actual land, and we could for sure come in here, like Hashem promised. That's answer number one. The Nachlas Dvash has a different shot. He says if you look at Parshas Maseh, later on in Sefer Bamidbar, the Torah is reviewing the travels of the Jewish people. And it says they left Ramses and they went to Sukkot and they left Sukkot and they went to this place, one place, to one place, to one place, to one place. And it says, in the middle, like a very strange couple words, it says, they left Mitzrayim, Perek Lamed Gimel Pasuk Daled, uMitzrayim mikabrim es asher yika Hashem behem kol bechor. And the Egyptians were burying, from the night before, when the plague of the firstborn, the Makas Bechoros happened, they were busy burying all those people that died. They're telling me a story about the Jews traveling through the desert. What do I need to hear? Like a little intermission, Let me just let you know that the Egyptians were burying the people. Like, why'd I have to do that? So Rashi explains the exact same words that he uses by the Meraglim, that how the Jews got out of Egypt? Why did the Egyptians just grab them? How'd they get out? Because they were so busy mourning and burying these people that they didn't notice the Jews walking out. Says in Nachlas Dvash, the Meraglim should have realized this isn't the first time in Jewish history that we see a nation being busy with mourning and burying. It happened back in Egypt and it worked to our benefit. That was a good thing. But they were so fixated. The Jews were so fixated on just, we're leaving, they didn't take a moment to step back and recognize how they were leaving. What was God doing for them? And they didn't learn their lesson for the future to know how they could go ahead and deal with similar circumstances when they come up. Meaning, the lesson of the Meraglim is as follows. Sometimes we're so stuck and fixed on a very specific thing that's going on, something that we're speaking about, something that we're doing, something that we're experiencing, that we don't take a step back to look at what's really going on around us. What is going on behind that very short lens that we're looking through? And that causes two problems. Problem number one, we drop our papers. Problem number two, we don't learn from things that we go through. And the real problem number two is we don't really appreciate the ramifications of our actions and what's going on. In 1999, there were two Harvard researchers that wrote a book called The Invisible Gorilla. Anyone here ever hear about the invisible gorilla? Oh, a couple of people. Amazing. Okay. So what was the story? So Christopher Chabris and Daniel Simons, they wrote this book. And they basically had an experiment. They made a video of two teams, one wearing white shirts and one wearing black shirts. And they were passing basketballs to one another. Okay? I've watched this video many times. Anyone ever see it? Some of us saw it. Okay. So a lot of us saw it. Okay, great. So we're passing the basketball from one to the other. And what was the job of the viewers? The job of the viewers was count the amount of times that the team with the white shirts passed the ball. Ignore the team with the black shirts. I don't care how many times they pass the ball. Only look at the team with the white shirts. So they're passing it, and then they run around in a circle, and they change their position. And you're literally, while you're watching this, you have to be glued, fixated on the team with the white shirts. How many? 1, 2, 3. He faked. He passed. Okay, 5, 7, 9, 10. Oh, that was the black team. No, delete. 1. Okay, you're totally zoned in on the team with the white shirts passing the ball to know how to count. And what happens in the middle of this video? There's a woman in a gorilla suit that walks behind the teams. She walks right onto the screen, onto the stage. She goes like this, and she walks right out. She stays there for 9 seconds. 9 seconds on the screen. There have been thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people that have watched these videos. Half of them never noticed the gorilla on the screen. It's a gorilla. It doesn't look like the team with the balls. They don't look alike. It's a gorilla, not a gorilla outfit. For 9 seconds, not like 1 second, like, ducking under. 9 seconds. 50% of the people didn't notice it. Why is that? So this is something that they call inattentional blindness. That literally, because we're so focused on something, right? You're counting the passes of the white team. That takes a lot of mental energy. I'm totally focused. I don't notice literally what's going on right in front of my face. I don't see what's happening. And that is exactly what happened with the Meraglim. They saw people mourning. Oh, terrible. They didn't take a moment to take a step back and say, why is this happening? Did I ever experience anything like this beforehand? Is there something I could learn from previous experiences? They literally were fixated on the team with the white shirts, and they said, that's all I see. And the lesson from here, unfortunately, is that we do this with everything in our lives, right? It could be the way that we speak. Everyone has their own free choice to decide how they speak, okay? You can decide to speak like an animal if you want. That's your choice, right? But when you go ahead and, let's say, speak that way in front of other people that don't appreciate those types of words, or in front of a rabbi, they don't want to hear such words. Or a family in Israel, different people grew up here differently than we grew up in America. They don't want to hear those types of messaging or whatever it is, right? But look, the friend that I'm speaking to likes it, or I like it. It makes me feel good when I can speak that way. So I'm literally focused on what makes me feel good, what I like, where I think my friend, that type of joke he's going to like. And I don't take a step back and say, but how is this going to affect the other people around me? Are other people also going to like it? We get so stuck on our personal feeling or our personal desire that we don't appreciate everything else that's going on around us. The same thing could be in the dormitory, right? For many of us, this is our first time ever being in a room with someone. Maybe we all had our own rooms back at home, or even if we have shared a room with one person, or maybe two, right? We never were in such close quarters as like a dormitory, where every little thing that we do is affecting other people. So the way that you treat the bathroom affects other people, the way that you come in at night affects other people. I remember when I was Shana Aleph, I don't know why I had this, but I had my shoes made had like a heel on it, so it actually made noise. It wasn't like a full rubber shoe, so it made noise. So I literally remember this. After like the first week, my roommate asked me, he's like, you wake me up every single night. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm so quiet. I'm such a sensitive person. He's like, your shoes make so much noise. I'm like, seriously? I literally didn't know. And I started walking around. I'm like, you're right. That is annoying. So I immediately got new shoes. I didn't realize, But like, we're just doing our thing. I bought new shoes, big deal, and you don't realize you affect other people. Because what am I doing wrong? I'm coming back at the normal time. I'm being very quiet. Shh, shh, shh. I close the door quietly, right? But I don't realize that when I walk in, I'm waking someone up. Or when I take the blanket off, or I move a book, or I move this, or I check my alarm just to make sure it's working, and wake everyone else up also, or I talk on the phone very, very quietly, of course. But I wake up, we don't realize, right? Because we're fixated on very specific things that we're doing, and we don't allow ourselves to look at a bigger picture of how it's affecting everything else. And I'll give one more example, okay? Another example. And I've been here now in Aish 20 years, Baruch Hashem. Okay, I've been under the chuppah many, many, many hundreds of times with Talmidim, and now as of 3 years ago with Talmidot. Tonight I have a wedding of one of my Talmidot. Okay, it's a lot, right? I can only think of 2 times in the hundreds of weddings that I've been at that the chassan and kala were actually dating during Shana Aleph. Now, don't think that there are only 2 people that ended up having a girlfriend during Shana Aleph. Okay, those numbers are up there in the hundreds as well. Okay, but my point is that how many of those people actually made it all the way to the end to be under the chuppah? I only can remember 2. Maybe someone else will remind me of a 3rd or a 4th, but almost none. Now, why is that? They all told me, not all, but many of them told me, yeah, that I'm going to marry her. Like we're like very, very, like we're in for the real thing. So how did that happen, right? The answer is because when we're dating in high school, we're fixated on what feels good. That is what's driving us. And that does not allow us to take a step back and look, is this good? It feels good. That glues us into a certain very narrow vision of what is and what isn't, as opposed to saying, it's not just that it feels good, but this is good. It's based on values, it's based on what's important in a relationship, it's important on balancing each other, etc., which are the real things that make marriages work in the future. That's not what people are thinking about at that time. So we're literally fixated on a very, very specific type of a thing, and then when one of those 2 people wake up, unfortunately, it's usually after the Shana Aleph, and they're like, I can't stay with this guy forever, like this is crazy, So then it's over, and then you literally kick yourself like a little wasting my year. So we have to go ahead and we have to check every single thing that we're doing. When we speak, when we make jokes, what is it that's driving us? Is it what feels good right now? Is it what I see right now in this narrow piece of a lens that I'm looking through? Or is this the right thing? Is this the good thing? Is this what's going to get me further? Is this really a good thing that other people appreciate, that other people want, that other people will grow from? It's a whole different way of looking at things. And when we do that, we grow in a whole exponentially different way. We're able to go ahead and say, this is good versus this is what feels good right now, or this is what looks good. The Meraglim said, this is what it is. I'm telling you, this is the report. I'm letting you know. I'm not lying. You can look at the video cameras. This is what it is. I saw it. But then all of a sudden they didn't see the history back and the history forward of what it's really about. And that's something that we have to, every human being, right? The gorilla experiment was not for Elul and before Rosh Hashanah, and it wasn't based on the Meraglim. In the book, I looked at it, doesn't mention Meraglim at all, okay? It's nothing to do with Judaism, right? It's the normal psychology of the human being. This is how we're wired. We're wired to look at things and not necessarily see past that. And that's the Yetzer Hara at his best. Literally at his best. You're not lying, you're not faking anyone, you're being totally transparent, but you're not seeing the entire picture. And it's important for all of us in every single one of our decisions in our lives. Again, whether it's the way we speak, the way we joke, the way we live in our dorms, the way we interact with girls, or whatever it is, we have to think about, is this good? And the only way to do that, to undo our own biases and to undo our own narrow tunnel vision, is by taking a step back, looking at it, maybe speaking it out with people, mentors, friends, family. Figure it out. Figure it out. It's always, we're stuck sometimes in ourselves. It's healthy. See an outside perspective to figure out, is this good? Is this really good? And if we can make good decisions and do the right thing all the time, our growth will be on a different plane, in a different planet. We won't waste time. We won't do bad things. We won't hurt ourselves for the future. And Bezrat Hashem will be able to be so much more successful than we ever thought we could be. And one should have a lot of hatzlacha with all our decisions and see the bracha in our lives from them.